After a lousy regular season, Jimmy Butler has put on a masterclass in the 2023 playoffs, averaging 33.5 points per game, 6.4 rebounds per game, 5.1 assists per game, and 1.6 steals in 8 games thus far. Butler and the Miami Heat steamrolled the competition in the first round as he led the 8-seeded Miami Heat to a first-round upset over the top-seeded Milwaukee Bucks. His unbelievable performance in the postseason has earned him a lot of respect from players around the league. Paul George recently spoke about Butler's performance in the postseason thus far on his podcast P Show and gave him some very high praise.
You know what I mean? This is where the dogs come out. Jimmy is a dog. He's showing it. He's tough. He gonna talk his talk and he gonna back it up. Like, that's the thing about Jimmy. You don't let him talk because he's gonna feed into that. He's gonna buy into the saying, and then there's no turning back, right? So Jimmy's. I applaud Jimmy. Jimmy looks great. He's looking like the best player in the playoffs so far. But I'm not surprised by the level that he's playing at now. This is the moment that he's waiting on to actually play for something. Again, he puts his body on the line every time. I heard him on the Knuckleheads where he says he's never won it at any level. And so the reason why he goes so hard, because he wants to be remembered as a winner.
Butler seems to elevate his play in the playoffs regularly, and with his mentality, it makes perfect sense. He can score at will and dominate everybody in his path with the way he's been playing, instilling a lot of confidence in the Heat as a team. The Heat played their first game of the playoffs without Butler in Game 2 versus the Knicks, and the Heat lost by just 6. Butler will have to lock in and keep up this play if he wishes to have a chance to return to the NBA Finals once more. The conference championship is looking like a real possibility, but to go further, he will need to be on his A game, the so-called playoff Jimmy, for the way that he's elevated his game when the lights are brightest. Put on an astonishing performance against the Bucks, even for him. The 6-time All-Stars performance was so good that the basketball analyst Charles Barkley called it the best performance he's seen since he's been on television.
The best performance I ever seen in the playoffs was tonight. LeBron scored 29 out of 30 at Detroit. We were actually at that game.
Including 25 straight.
25 straight and 29 out of 30. That was the best game I've seen in playoff personally until tonight. That was the best performance I've seen since I've been on television. I mean, it was flat out incredible. It was an honor and privilege to watch it. But man, that guy was not going to let them lose tonight.
Skill and wit.
Barkley has watched a lot of basketball over the years as an analyst for TNT. Perhaps this is a prisoner of the moment take, but there is no doubt that Butler put together one of the best performances of his career. Former NBA player Jay Williams has lavished high praise on Jimmy Butler, who delivered yet another scintillating postseason performance for the Miami Heat. Williams pulled out a unique stat line to draw parallels between Butler and his airness, or to some people, Jimmy's dad himself, Michael Jordan. Butler has been an elite performer in the postseason. He carried the Heat to the NBA Finals in 2020 and is leading their charge in their pursuit of the championship. Comparing his ability to lead a team into the playoffs to Michael Jordan's, Jay Will said on ESPN's KJM show,
Jimmy Butler's name belongs in the same breath with Michael Jordan.
Okay.
Crazy, right? As the only players in a single postseason averaging 28 points per game, 5 assists, 2 steals on 50+% shooting from the field. I just want you to think about that for a second, Key. We just said Jimmy Butler's name in the same breath with MJ for what this dude is doing in this postseason.
There is no doubt the Heat have other players like Bam Adebayo, Max Strus, and the newly resurrected Duncan Robinson also performing well. However, to advance to the NBA Finals, they'll need Butler to continue being on top of their game. The 33-year-old now has support from other veterans, which he seemed to lack last time around. If Butler continues playing high-octane basketball and the Heat get special performances from their role players, they could win their first NBA championship since 2013. The Heat shockingly killed it in the first-round series lead over the Bucks, and they owe pretty much all of their success to Jimmy Butler, Butler single-handedly willed the Heat to victory in Game 4 of the series with a 56-point outburst. And if you ask Gilbert Arenas, it was the best individual playoff performance in the Heat's storied history.
I mean, for individual, you have to say yes. Just going off of, Dwayne Wade's, that first year Dwayne Wade was in the playoff. It wasn't 56, but what he did against Baron Davis and them to carry them was a great-ass performance. I mean, when you're talking about the age and, the pressure that was on him, that was great. But, just a playoff game, this has to be number one.
There have been quite a few great playoff performances in the Heat's history, and while there may be some recency bias, it's really tough to pick another one of the previous performances over what Butler just did to the Bucks. LeBron James and Dwayne Wade both have dropped 40 points in several games during their postseason careers with the Heat, but neither of them ever managed to drop 50, which immediately puts Butler's performance in its own category. James had an impressive 49-point outing against the Brooklyn Nets back in 2014, but if that isn't the best Heat playoff game of all time, then it would likely be Butler again against the Boston Celtics last year when he dropped 47 points, in addition to hauling in 9 rebounds, dishing out 8 assists, and nabbing 4 steals too. But Butler outdid himself in Game 4 against the Bucks, and it would be very tough to justify another individual playoff performance being better than what we just saw from Butler here, making Arenas' take seem spot on. Kevin Love is in familiar territory, helping the Miami Heat contend for a title alongside Jimmy Butler. Playing with the 6-time All-Star has apparently reminded Love of the times he went to battle with LeBron James during his Cleveland Cavaliers days. It reminds me of another player I played with for several years, Love said, referring to James. It's an amazing thing to watch. He leads us. He sets the tone for us every single night. It's just a beautiful thing to be a part of. Butler has been one of the best players in this year's postseason, lifting Miami to a 2-1 lead over the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Through 7 contests in the playoffs, he is averaging 34.4 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 4.4 assists per game, while shooting 56.4% from the field and 40% from the three-point line. With the 33-year-old leading the way, the number 8 seeded Heat were able to advance past the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round in 5 games. That round saw Butler record 37.6 points per match, including a combined 98 points in the final 2 contests of the series. What made that impressive, aside from the fact that Miami eliminated the best team from the regular season, was that the Heat superstar dominated a squad featuring elite defenders. Giannis Antetokounmpo was named Defensive Player of the Year in 2020. Meanwhile, Brook Lopez was the runner-up for the award this season. Milwaukee also had Drew Holiday, a 2-time All-Defensive First Team selection that many players believe is one of the league's finest perimeter defenders. Butler has not taken his foot off the gas against New York, although an ankle injury has slowed him down a bit. Still, Miami has done a solid job, stealing Game 1 on the road before losing the second game in the series without the star. But in Game 3 and 4, the Heat were all business, running away with a 19 and 8-point victory respectively, and providing the home crowd with plenty to cheer for. Love is likely hoping that his teammates' sublime performances continue and eventually result in a championship run, similar to the one he and James had in the 2015-16 campaign. Of course, that is easier said than done as Miami still faces an uphill battle. But as Butler has shown in the past weeks, anything is possible with his Heat squad. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing NBA content. Thanks for watching.